Today we're going to be assembling the Dannico Woodworks Montessori bookshelf. In your package, you should have received piece A, which is the one that we're starting on, and you should have received all the corresponding parts that need to be assembled in order to build the bookshelf. We're going to start, like I said, with piece A, and piece A is labeled with numbers 1 all the way to 13. And so the first thing that we're going to do is look for piece number 1. So it's going to look like that. To assemble, you need to find the sticker and make sure that the stickers face each other, and then you just need to insert the piece. You may need to use a rubber mallet for this. There is no gap between the two parts. So make sure that the parts are flush with each other. Once number 1 is fully in, you're going to move on to piece number 2 and 3. So now that number 1 is inserted all the way, we're going to move on to piece number 2 and 3, which is the next in the next line that needs to be installed. And you will notice that when you find the piece, there's going to be a section that doesn't have a sticker, and then a side that does. So again, you just want to make sure that the corresponding stickers line up with each other. So number 2 needs to line up with number 2 at the top, and number 3 with each other. This one didn't need a rubber mallet, but if you want to use it just to make sure everything's fully in, you can do that. Next is number 4. The stickers face each other. I like to start with the bottom piece first and then slide it down and make sure it's attached. There are no holes here. Next is number 5 and number 6. This is number 5 and 6 right here. I'm going to start with the bottom piece, inserting, and I'm going to use a rubber mallet. And I'm also going to make sure that it's all staying together. Next is number 7. The stickers face each other. Then number 8 and 9. The stickers line up with each other. We're going to make sure that it's all the way fully in. Another thing that's important is to keep these together like this. Everything starting with 2 and 3. As you're working, just make sure that they're staying together. The last big piece is 11 and 12. Another thing I want to show is that first I like to put the bottom piece and align it like that. A little tip as you're working towards them. Is that there's going to be a little groove on this side over here, so it's not going to be flush like the rest of these are, and that's okay. We need that groove in the next steps. As long as you make sure that the bottom here is fully aligned, then that's fine. This can stay a little bit higher. So this part is going to go in number 13. This is our right-sided drawer, so it's going to line up like this once the bookshelf is up. And so this is going to be number 1 and number 3. and you're going to lay it on top, making sure that you find where the holes line up to each other. Like that. And once it's lined up, you're going to start lightly tapping around to make sure that it's fully in. And the goal is for there to not be any gaps, just like at the bottom here. And you want to make sure that you do light tapping, otherwise if you do harder, it's going to like raise this part over here. If you do it slower, it will go in more evenly and it'll be a little bit easier. So this side is fully in. This side is in as well. I'm going to use a mallet to make sure that perfect. So now that this part is fully in, we're going to sand it up. There we go. Next part is C. And the important part about this section is making sure that these act as hooks over here. So you're gonna put it right here in front of it. And you're gonna slide it down so that this part is over here and here. And this should be flush to here. So what I like to do first is pull down to this bottom part here and slowly start sliding it down. Now if you see here, this section has an angle, which means that the groove inside here hasn't fully gone in. So the reason for that is because this is not all the way flushed. So what you can do is you can grab a mallet, and if you see it went a little bit more inside, and then we can tap it so that the groove goes inside of 13. And this piece now is fully 90 degrees to the floor, so it's in. So that's exactly what we want. So now that C is in, we're going to slide D here at the bottom. So for this piece, what I like to do is set it on the ground, like that. Now very similarly, you're gonna grab D, and these pieces are gonna serve as hooks. And you need to work slowly. Now that these pieces are flush, we need to make sure that the grooves in D fall inside of C. So something that I like to do is just raise it with something. It can be anything, a kitchen towel. And then just make sure that it slides in. These pieces, make sure that they're still flush. And that's it. You can stand it up now. And we can install the top compartment, the top lid. For this part, you gotta make sure that these two hooks line up right over here. And then you're gonna pop them in. And that's it. So the bookshelf is now assembled. We are now going to work on the drawer piece. For assembly of the drawer, the only thing you will need is a screwdriver. You won't need a mallet anymore. So depending on which side of drawer, these pieces might look a little bit different, but the concept is the same. This is a left-sided drawer that we're assembling. So first you're gonna grab the big triangle that has the line here, and you are going to grab the screws that came with it, You're going to need 3 first. You're going to attach them right over here. And this is where the screwdriver will come in handy. So you need to make sure that you do not over tighten. This part needs to basically just touch here. As you're screwing it in, you may notice that the screws are a little bit crooked, and that's fine. Can you pause it? I need another screw. Once you screw it in, make sure that this metal piece is fully seated with this plastic piece. Then we're ready to insert this piece, and we want to make sure that the line lines up with this one over here. And then that this part is flush. These parts align. And then if you turn it around, we need to add these, or if you inserted them before, that works too. The important thing about these pieces is making sure that the little arrow marks the start of where the screw is. So the little arrow will be pointed here, like that. And then you will rotate clockwise, like that. And then this part is fully in. You're going to do very similar with this piece now, the narrow piece. So you're going to insert it like this. And then you're gonna grab one of these parts. The arrow is pointing towards the screw. And then you're going to rotate with your screwdriver. Next, we're going to slide this part, and there's 2 sides to this part. One is a little bit shiny and one's more matte. The matte part needs to be at the bottom so that the shiny part is what stays on top. So you're just going to slide it down fully. You see these pieces are flush here. And then the last piece is attaching this other last triangle. So just like we did with this one, we're going to attach the screws. Again, if you notice that they're not 90 degrees, that's okay. And again, making sure that the metal is flush and sits right next to the plastic part. We're going to install it just like we did before. So the holes will line up. And then you just need to push it. So there was a piece here. This was inserted the wrong way. It was inserted this way rather than with the arrow facing outwards. And so it was causing this part not to be fully inserted. So if that happens, just make sure that there's no piece inside here, or that if it is, it's inserted correctly. So now that all the pieces are inserted, just like you did here, we're going to insert this piece with the arrow facing the screw. This back piece is easy to see. The screw is here, so the arrow is going to be just like that. And then the other 2 are right here, just like that. And then you're going to turn it clockwise. And then the other last piece needs to be inserted inside. So that is your drawer, and now your drawer is fully assembled. You will need to line up this part here and this part here, and the part where if you can have somebody hold these two pieces is easier. I've done this a couple times so I can do it without help. Once you hear that snap, that means that the drawer is in, and you can just put it like that, and then we can test it again. Make sure that the soft close works.